Have you ever looked at historical photos of Native American chiefs and then at people from East Asia and thought, wait a minute, is there a connection here? It might not seem obvious at first glance. The distinct, powerful features we associate with Native American peoples can seem a world away from the faces you might see in Tokyo, Seoul, or Beijing. But what if I told you that beneath the surface, a story spanning thousands of years and thousands of miles connects these two groups in a profound way? Today we're diving deep into one of humanity's greatest migration stories, a journey of epic proportions that shape the destiny of an entire continent. Modern science, particularly DNA analysis, has unlocked the secrets of the past, confirming a fascinating truth. Native Americans are indeed distant relatives of East Asian peoples. This isn't just a theory, it's a story written in their very genes. So, how did this incredible journey happen? To understand it, we need to turn back the clock. Way back. We're talking more than 15,000 years ago, to a time when our planet looked very different. This was the peak of the last ice age. Massive glaciers, some miles thick, covered huge portions of North America and Eurasia. So much of the world's water was locked up in this ice that global sea levels were drastically lower, hundreds of feet lower than they are today. This dramatic drop in sea level uncovered a vast land bridge, a corridor of dry land that connected what we now know as Siberia in Asia with Alaska in North America. Scientists have given this ancient, vanished land a name: Beringia. Beringia wasn't just a narrow, icy strip of land. It was a massive, sprawling subcontinent stretching for perhaps 1,000 miles from north to south. It wasn't a barren wasteland either. For much of its existence, it was a cold, dry, but habitable steppe tundra environment. Imagine a vast, treeless plain covered in grasses and shrubs, a landscape teeming with life. Herds of giant woolly mammoths, bison, wild horses, and caribou roamed this land, and where there are herds, there are hunters. Small, resilient bands of hunter-gatherers from northeastern Asia followed these herds, venturing out onto this new, open territory. They likely had no idea they were stepping onto a new continent. For them, it was simply the next valley, the next hunting ground, a continuation of the world they had always known. These were the ancestors of all indigenous peoples of the Americas. For a long time, scientists debated the exact timing and nature of their journey. Was it one single migration, or several waves of people over thousands of years? The genetic evidence has been a game changer. By comparing the DNA of modern Native American populations with that of various groups across Asia, researchers have pieced together a clearer picture. The data points overwhelmingly to a founding population that originated in East Asia. Genetic markers found in Native American populations from the tip of South America all the way to northern Canada can be traced back to this ancestral group from Siberia. It suggests a single major migration event that populated two entire continents. But the story gets even more interesting. Genetic studies suggest that these early pioneers didn't just sprint across Beringia and into America. Instead, they may have lived on the land bridge itself for a considerable period, perhaps for thousands of years. This idea is known as the Beringian Standstill hypothesis. Cut off from their original homeland in Asia by expanding glaciers to the west and blocked from moving further into America by the massive ice sheets covering Canada, they were effectively isolated in this unique Beringian refuge. It was here, in this isolated environment, that they developed the unique genetic markers that distinguish them from their Asian ancestors and are now common to nearly all Native American peoples. They were no longer simply East Asians. They were becoming the first Americans. Then, as the Ice Age began to wane around 16,500 years ago, the climate started to warm. The colossal ice sheets that had acted as a barrier began to melt and retreat. Two major ice sheets, the Cordilleran in the west and the Laurentide in the east, had covered most of Canada. As they pulled apart, an ice-free corridor gradually opened up, creating a pathway south, right through what is now Alberta. For the people who had been living in Beringia for generations, this was a gateway to a new world, a land untouched by humans. They began to move south, either through this newly opened corridor or possibly by following the Pacific coastline in small boats, a theory that's gaining more and more traction. Once they were south of the ice, they found a continent teeming with resources and megafauna, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, and mastodons. The population exploded. These highly skilled hunters spread with remarkable speed. Archaeological evidence places them in Chile, at the southern tip of South America, as early as 14,500 years ago. Think about that. In just a couple of thousand years, a small founding group had populated the entire length of 2 continents, from the Arctic to Patagonia. It's one of the most successful and rapid expansions in human history. As they spread, they adapted to an incredible diversity of environments, from the dense rainforests of the Amazon to the high Andes Mountains, from the arid deserts of the Southwest to the woodlands of the East. This brings us back to our original question. If Native Americans and East Asians share a common ancestry, why do they look so different today? The answer lies in thousands of years of evolution and adaptation. For the groups that remained in Asia, their genetic and physical traits continued to evolve in one set of environmental conditions. But for the people who crossed into the Americas, their journey was just beginning. Over the next 15,000 years, they were separated from their ancestral relatives by the rising sea, which submerged Beringia and created the Bering Strait we see today. In their new homes, they adapted to different climates, different diets, and different solar radiation levels. This process, known as founder effect and genetic drift, played a huge role. The original group that crossed into America was just a small sample of the total genetic diversity present in Asia at the time. Right from the start, they had a unique genetic profile. Then, as small bands broke off and settled new areas, their own unique genetic quirks became more pronounced over generations. A trait that might have been rare in the original population could become common in a small, isolated group. Over millennia, these subtle changes, compounded by adaptation to vastly different environments across the Americas, led to the development of the distinct physical characteristics we now associate with the diverse nations of Native Americans. It's a powerful testament to human adaptability. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving and diversifying, creating hundreds of unique cultures and languages. So, while a quick look might not reveal the connection, the science is clear. The story of the first peoples of the Americas is a story of family, of a shared ancestry with the people of East Asia. It's a story of incredible resilience, courage, and adaptation, a journey across a lost world that led to the peopling of a new one. It reminds us that our human story is one of constant movement, exploration, and the deep, unbreakable connections that bind us all together, even across vast oceans and thousands of years. It's not about looking the same, but about sharing a chapter, long, long ago, in the same epic book of human history. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our shared past. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.